friends. In this session, I want to teach you what the EEVEE rendering engine is and why you would need real-time engines. In this session, I am going to explain the benefits of this EEVEE rendering to you. So let's move on to the settings for the EEVEE rendering engine. The EEVEE rendering engine is essentially a real-time engine that provides me with real-time rendering. And the settings that are available by default and perform a real-time render for us. And we are able to change these settings or choose not to make any changes to them at all. Now let us go and see how we can work with the EEVEE render engine. When I set this part to EEVEE and I have it selected from the Cycles and Workbench section, in EEVEE there is a render setting that is applied by default, and you can increase the value as much as you like. To make your shadows better in the EEVEE render section. So I have navigated to the viewport shading to generate it for you. I will make everything have more shadows. Well, usually the sampling is already prepared and you can utilize it. To move on to the next section, first let me create a new plane. I will bring it down a bit. Well, I will add a light. I will give it. I created two lights, point light sources that I am able to use. Where are you? Lower the second light's intensity. For instance, I will set it to 50 watts. Let us move on to the EEVEE render engine and check the following options. If I enable the Ambient Occlusion setting, you will see that the shadows get a softer look. Observe that if I disable the checkbox, you will see that it creates no shadow border. It does not create it. But when you check it, a shadow border is created for you here. When I change the distance, whether I increase or decrease it, you see the type of shadows change. They will differ. You are able to fully experiment with all of its values. You can have both checkboxes on or off or have one active on a specific part. Adjust the distance to achieve the specific lighting effect you desire. See? Once I remove the check mark, you will notice the borders disappear, allowing full usage. Okay. I will tweak it a bit so you can see. Done. I am checking it from the perspective of my camera light. You see, zooming in fully. This will generate a distinct border for your light rays. The volume part. Before I move to the volume section, I will first set my material to a glowing state. He would come here to surface. Option. I click on Imagine. Well, I will adjust the light intensity slightly. You can see that nothing changes here, but if I enable it in the volume render engine, I will go back to the material settings and reduce the values, and you can see the light scattering. Guys, let me mention that this part was not in version 4.2 or even 4.1. Or at least I did not look carefully. I think they removed it. I do not know why. Maybe it moved to shading. That is the reason I have not seen it in version 4.2, even as I record this video now. I made these educational. I am telling you it is with version 4. I will go to the render section where I can adjust these values up or down to work. Now this light that has been created, I can also change its color, you see. By adjusting the color, I am able to completely change the color and light for it so that you can fully grasp it. That is the top part. Now I am going to remove the check mark. I am hitting Ctrl and Z to return to the state. Okay, the next section is the depth of field. Actually, again, if I pronounced it wrong, forgive me. We are going to enable the camera here. I will go to the camera section. I check the camera box. It displays the zoom in and zoom out functions for me here. What does that mean? First of all, I navigate to viewport displays and enable the limiters. You can see the distance created here. For this, I work with 2 more tags. I put a horizontal one here and actually come. I set this from the camera view, okay? This part, I go to the section. In fact, see this distance. I am able to increase or decrease the distance. Now what is this stop section? If I reduce this, the area here is blurring. Actually, it is as if it is focused only on the image. As you can see, I am looking now. The focus is right here now. I will remove this from the camera. Well, by working with these specific numbers, I can actually change the camera size within the viewport. And then I am able to do it right here. I can increase the light position or adjust the distance between my lights. I will blur it using the settings, and then I will reactivate the camera. Let me go ahead and join this one. It is not really necessary. You see this part here, it is blurring it for you completely. Even if I had several cubes here instead of one, it fully blurs the entire perimeter, and within your rendering section you're able to adjust these using the numerical values that are present. Keep manipulating them. This is also the part where you are in contact with your camera. Let us proceed to the surface section. In fact, this will make my light sub-intensity lower or better. The more I increase the numerical values, it adopts a much softer appearance and achieves better light intensity. If I lower it completely, it generates a more fractured appearance for me. Screen space position. If I check this box, well, let me so you understand completely. To my plan, make it black. Lowering the roughness too. Now, look, this has generated some light intensity here. Now let us move to the background area to create a texture for the background. I am going to add a texture. For instance, I am going to modify the color of this texture as well. This has generated a light bounce effect here, correct? Moving to the render section. If I check this box, you see, the bounce effect is limited to the background only. But if I check this box, the bounce generates light shadows for me, which you can adjust using the values that you change may be displayed completely for you. Okay? Change the numbers. Create it so it makes changes for you, and provide you with a much better result. Well, now I am not concerned with this. I will move to motion. Yes, let us set the background. This part here too. Okay. I am moving on to the next section. Motion? Yes, I am activating it. Okay. Now I will move to the camera. That is correct. I select the camera. Okay. I will assign it 1 frame by pressing I. I open the location. I move to 20 frames. And here I will place my ending on. Okay, right here. I move the camera with G. Move it, for example, to come here. I will give it again. I will turn this on. Set in the key so that a keyframe is created. This state was created right now. Why is this motion blur here? It does not show anything in the viewport, but when I render the image, we see it for me. The blur effect is round, so now if I set my ending value to 50 and also move my keyframe and then come and render again, my blur is less. It has happened based on the timing you created for your frames, is that right? You apply the blur. If you make the distance between your keyframes smaller, your blur will become more intense. It becomes. This is the specific aspect of motion blur that you are typically interacting with. Let's move on. In the volume part. It came here. Allow me to assign a black material to this once more. My apologies to the plane. Okay. Well, it came here. I select my object. Actually, I remove it here so it becomes colorless. Okay, sorry. After removing it, go to the volume section and select the first option. You will see that it provides a blurred light intensity which you can change using these numbers here, and you can also adjust the light and color, see it change. Now if I were to go into the EEVEE render settings and I turn all of these settings off completely in its sections, using these numbers, the more it increases, which displays your render and shape more clearly, and you can adjust these numbers and visible and utilize it. Now I return. We have no business with it. Oh, there is one point here. I must tell you. In the volume section we have a start and an end, you see. I will cancel the Darwin. It is set to 100 at the end here. I take this away and it says if you pass 100 meters it will not show it to you. For instance, if I were to set it to 10 meters right here, it says if it goes 10 meters above that, it will not show it. Now, that 100, I set this from the start to 2 meters. It says at 2 meters it's gone. This depends on how your viewing angle is displayed, which says it won't show past 100 meters from the start. If it is set to 0, it shows from 0, but if it is 2, it will not show it. Well, the next option we have is performance, which determines if you want high quality while you are working, so let us set that. My plan is also to set it to the default color. So, it asks if your rendering is high quality and whether you want it to be normal or high. It does not have much impact on your work. This is for the light intensity you want to work with, similar to how exposure works in Photoshop. The shadow part lets you decide if you want to darken your image shadows, essentially controlling brightness and darkness. It tells you about your shadows, and if we change the light in our image here, it is very clear. If I have no object selected here, it is playing the video. It will be applied to your whole image. Okay? And that concludes the EEVEE rendering section. I truly hope you found this tutorial helpful. I will see you in the next session.